Welcome back. This episode is less of an interview and more two mates just chatting, because today it's me and an old friend, Rich Harris, diving into the mix of tattooing, personal growth, and a little inspiration from an unexpected place, like sports biographies. Rich breaks down how reading about athletes has shaped his approach in the studio, the dedication, preparation and mindset needed to push your craft forward. We also get into AI, social media, and how it can either help or distract you, as well as the value of real connections with clients, something no algorithm can replace. Like I said, it's more of a conversation than an interview because we're old friends, and it's just weird when you try and interview your friends, so we just ended up chatting. But we do touch on the bigger picture too, like the challenges in the industry, how government decisions can get in the way of creativity, and why investing in yourself is still the best move that you can make as an artist. Rich also shares his future plans for seminars and a bunch of new projects, giving a glimpse into how the tattoo world is evolving and how artists can stay ahead. I guess this one's about friendship, discipline, creativity, and keeping it real in a changing world. Well, that's enough of me talking about it. Let's get into it. Rich, thanks for joining me, mate.
Anytime.
Thank you, mate. I want to pick up on a conversation that we had in the summer, and this would be summer of 2025 for those of you listening. We were talking about books and reading, and you were telling me that you read a lot of sports people's bios, and I thought that was interesting because you're one of my tattoo friends that does competitions and tattoos and stuff like that. And so what I wanted to start out by asking you was, do you think that reading things like a sports person's biography and how they approach sport, because I imagine they do a lot of like visualization of the win and it's very dedicated and all that sort of stuff. Do you think that influences or reflects your approach to tattooing in any way?
Yeah, 100%. I think even from a young age, I was interested in footballers' biographies. And even like, from your superstars to Maradona, Paul Gascoigne, Thierry Henry, Beckham, to even not so well-known players like Gary Neville, he was a right back and all his dream was to play for his boyhood club, Man United. And he didn't have Beckham's technical ability or, ridiculous speed. He was a good organizer and he just worked his ass off. Do you know what I mean? He's a very focused individual. So it's just a book I've picked up, autobiography. It's just so inspiring. But, I could have been a professional footballer if I had that right mindset as a kid, but I didn't have anyone around me putting me in the right direction. I was hanging around with a crowd that, wasn't geared up for me to have that kind of career. It was just going to the pub, drinking with your mates when I was growing up. I think, having that kind of frustration growing up, because I can't reverse time, I'm using it into a career. Now I'm more professional, more focused. I've got a bit more knowledge, and I'm using these books as well as loads of other self-help books in so many genres. Because we've got short careers, why not be the best you can at your craft? Because I believe everybody is exactly the same, and just what we're talking about off air, it depends what you want to do. There's a signal to noise ratio. You can choose how much signal or noise you have. If you want to scroll 90% of the day, then you're all noise. If you want to put it into your own career, read some stuff, get some knowledge, be the best you can be. Why not? But every book I've read has been really inspirational. So I'm just trying to apply that into this short career we have.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, the signal to noise thing, I think, is a really interesting point. So I've spent probably from around the pandemic onwards, now that's something that I actively keep the signal to noise ratio down. I don't get on the internet that much. I don't scroll, don't do a whole lot of that because I don't often hear or see anything that goes, oh, that's changed my world. You know what I mean? Generally, the way I find that is my friends send it me, and so that's a much more organic way of doing it. When it comes to putting together the tattoos that you do, and then visualizing how you're going to put them together. So do you think any of that, I'm not going to call it a sports mentality, but that kind of level of dedication to a level of, how can I be the best possible Rich that I can possibly be? Do you think that has an impact on how you approach the tattoo in itself?
Yeah, massively. Knowledge is power. I can remember when years and years ago when I first started, it was just because I didn't know better. I was doing designs the day before, or sometimes in the morning, just when I didn't have a very good work-life balance. I wasn't very organized with my time. And the more I've read and the more I've spent around, people that I aspire to be like, fuck, these guys are doing it properly. And obviously the books are helping. And I'm reading about all the preparation for each match. And now I prepare even, like, you wouldn't believe the preparation I go into. Like 2 weeks, I'm planting the seed, creating the project, chucking some ideas in. We've got the luxury of AI these days, and it helps avoid mental block. You can get a few ideas there, use that as a sounding board. So I'm just getting more and more professional and more dedicated as, I get older. Yeah, I see a lot of artists, reach their peak and they stay there. I think a lot of ingredients make a really good tattoo artist, whatever you want to call it. A sprinkle of paranoia to keep you on your feet, confidence, self-belief, a little bit of obsession. All these things contribute. But yeah, I'm working less. I've got a really good work-life balance now. I'm becoming more self-aware every day. Going back to this signal-to-noise ratio, mine has always been pretty bad. I struggle with focus issues. So now I catch myself doing stupid shit, and I'm like, I ask myself a question, hang on, what are you doing here? You had one job today, and that's to work on your online seminar, which I've started 2 years ago. Like, stop pissing around, get back on this. So, but it takes a lot of mental strength and discipline, and even your diet can affect that. I love chocolate and sugar, so I don't think that does your focus any good. So I love self-improvement and learning. So,
how do you employ AI? What's your process with AI?
I think in terms of what's available, it's quite basic. I'm just using ChatGPT. If I want to create a design with a meaning, I will ask, give me some concepts, for example, enlightenment, and it'll give me a load of concepts, some pretty crap, some pretty good, but I'll always use the term art. Don't type tattoos in things like ChatGPT because it comes up with a load of prehistoric crap. So I'll always use the word art, and I can jump on a list, especially if I'm getting creative block as well. And then I will pick that subject or theme, and then I'll write, okay, give me some ideas with these elements. And obviously, yourself, you've got a very distinctive style. I'm always working on my style, and I will have some elements like a mood board I use every year. So I'll say, ChatGPT, I'll type in the prompt, I want to use, for example, death of ego or enlightenment, but give me an idea using these elements: human faces, animals, skulls, geometric. And a lot of it will be crap, but some of it I can just cherry pick little bits. So like a PA, I guess I use it to create business plans, to tidy up letters, to write to the government and stuff like that.
Well, I spent about a month training ChatGPT to write like me, because I wanted it to help me write my newsletters and captions for Instagram, but every time it wrote them, it sounded like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So what I did, I took most of my columns that I wrote for Total, I put it in and I went, right, study this. Now what I want you to do is I want you to leave all the grammatical errors. I want you to copy the tone of voice and now give me 500 words on this topic. And then I'd go back and go, right, I would never say this. I have never said the word stoked in a sentence in my entire life, so please keep it English. And it took me about 4 days. But now I can say to it, I give it the bullet points of a newsletter and go, spit something out for me. And then all I've got to do then is kind of tidy it up a little bit, because anytime it trips me up, I'll read it in my head. And if I can still hear my internal voice, it's fine. The moment I can hear the computer voice, I know that bit's wrong. So I'll just go, okay, I'll go and fix that. And like you say, I use it like a PA, like a third team member. And I can't remember who it was that said to me, but the thing that they said is ChatGPT is no good if you treat it like a 16-year-old trainee that you've just brought into the factory and gone, right, start making those things that we make without any training. You have to give it, like, I want this tone of voice and I want you to do this and, like, keep it like this. I don't want you to talk that way. If you put the work in, you can actually get it to be a really helpful assistant. You know what I mean? I now get it when on the odd occasion that I need to generate an AI image, usually for my newsletter. Can you write the prompt for me for the image generator? So, and then because it knows what I'm looking for, because I'll go back and go, no, that was garbage. Don't keep spitting out Studio Ghibli looking stuff because that's not my vibe, right? Give me something else. And it's got pretty good. You don't use it for the artwork side of things then?
No, I use Midjourney for the artwork. I've got that down to a T. I've got a very good, well, that's what my online seminars called, Tattoo Systems, because there's millions and millions of systems in the world across all industries, and the top artists have the best systems in place, and that's why they're top. I don't think it's talent alone. It's just getting the best results in the quickest amount of time, most efficient time. But my Midjourney system is just incredible, to the point where I obviously have to prepare the project from those images in Procreate, but then I always use a client's picture, so they've got their background of their house, etc., and I create the project from that, but I make it fit really well with clipping mask on Procreate, so it looks like it's actually on, and then I pop it back in Midjourney, and in there they've got the video creation, and I'm like, all I have to do is pop that in, move the legs slowly, and now I show my clients. And it took me, I design like that anyway. So I've just uploaded the picture and I show them that in the morning and they're like, absolutely brilliant. It's my leg, it's my front room, and it's actually moving. It's, a year ago, you'd have to pay a lot of money to a 3D guy to get that kind of video. So yeah, Midjourney's a killer. I don't use ChatGPT for image creation at all, because I think I've done it a couple of times and it was just nonsense. So I just use it for my PA, like we spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, I use a thing called Envato. So I've got a subscription with Envato Elements because it's got stock video, stock images that I use for reference, things like fonts and stuff like that. Envato has just added AI into it for no extra money, and that does video creation. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll just do a little bit of that, and it's reasonably priced. To be fair, that's quite a good idea. I might nick that idea because I think my clients would appreciate a bit of that. I think it's pretty good. I don't use it a lot for video creation. I was messing around with it about making YouTube thumbnails move, because I had this idea that the thumbnail comes up on YouTube, and then when you hit the video, the thumbnail just animates into the beginning of the video, which is really, really, really cool, but not really something that I need right now.
Yeah. I think I got that off Chris Bin, my mate. He uploaded it. I was like, fucking hell, that's good. And I was like, how do you do that? He's like, just Midjourney. And I'm like, I've got Midjourney, but they update it that quick. I hadn't been on it for a few days, and they'd added that feature, and I'm like, flipping out, this is solid. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So talking about things like, AI and all things modern, I think you're pretty good at your social media side of things. I think you're pretty red hot on it, and you do a fair amount with your social media. Now, I know a lot of artists, it's one of the things that they struggle with a lot. The idea of like, am I inauthentic if I do too much social media? And, how much should I, in air quotes, filter my images or anything like that? What's your approach to social media? Because I think you've got a pretty healthy mindset when it comes to it, because everything that I see you produce looks like you, it feels like you. I know you personally, and so when I see your social media, it never feels like you're playing a role or a character. How do you go about it? What's your sort of approach to that, mate?
I think what you just said about me being hot on social media, that's perspective. I think I'm below average social media. Don't get me wrong, I could be amazing at it, but I've got better things to do. Do you know what I mean? The business trickles in. I try and make my social media look as transparent and authentic as possible, because that's who I am. I try and put unfiltered shitty phone pictures with bad light on there. Obviously, I will put filtered pictures on there from fresh tattoos. I'll also, my aftercare system, I always ask clients to send me pictures every 2 days so I can keep an eye on it in case they're doing anything bad, or I can tell them to keep up the good work. I'll always upload those onto stories. So I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. I see a lot of artists who are not so good in real life. You'll never see these artists win at shows because they're not that good, but a small batch of these artists have made great careers from just faking social media a little bit, and that's great for them. But I want to be all singing, all dancing, a good all rounder. So I'm just trying to show everything I can, even though my Instagram account probably doesn't look the best. I'm just trying to be, genuine. But in terms of, like I say, it's perspective. I think I'm very below average. I looked at what Victoria Lee does with her ASMR videos. I tried to do these once. Me and my missus, it took us 4 hours, and Jesus Christ, that is the most painful 4 hours of my life. It was fun, but I don't want to be making these all the time. But I think Victoria has probably got a personal assistant. I need ChatGPT to make me one.
Yeah.
Try to do more, and I start doing the video, and I just get frustrated because I just want to get stuck into the tattoo. And I think that's probably a lot of artists feel like that. It's like, I want to get stuck into the tattoo. My client doesn't want me dancing around and trying to film this. I probably need a human PA to do that for me. But I think what I teach in my seminars with social media, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Steve Jobs did this years ago when he was developing, or whoever he had on product design.
Johnny Ive, guarantee it.
So, they took ideas from Braun, like Braun speakers, old calculators, and they modelled iMacs and iPods on this. And it's just taking a template, a successful formula.
So the Braun stuff, in case anybody's interested, that's the product designer, Dieter Rams, is a German product designer. The Braun stuff is absolute design classic. For me, the Braun, there's a little portable alarm clock that they make that is quite possibly the most beautiful object of sort of 70s industrial design. And you're right, a lot of the Apple stuff comes from that because it's form and function. Its form follows its function, and the idea that something should only exist if it has an actual function. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a great, if you're near the London area, go to the Design Museum and you can see things like the Braun stuff and the Dieter Ram stuff and all the kind of design classics at the Design Museum in London. It's brilliant walk round. And they normally got like a really cool like central exhibit. I think the last time I was there, it was like Stanley Kubrick stuff. Okay. In permanent display is all these kind of classic, beautiful objects of industrial design. Being a graphic designer, you just want to look at it for hours. My poor wife Karen comes and goes, is there a Starbucks anywhere near that I can just go and fucking sit in while you sit and do this? Poor girl. It's a slightly selfish reason why I was asking you that question, because I want to do a little bit more with my social media next year, because if you're below average, then I'm at the bottom line of acceptable. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing the bare minimum, and I want to do a little bit more. And we've got a few ideas. So the first thing that we did was I said to Karen that it's better if she films, because this thing that you were talking about, I hate stopping what I'm doing and breaking the momentum of what I'm doing to film something. But if I can call Karen over and go, can you film this? And then she'll do it. And actually, if I'm honest, I think she's a better cameraman than I am. So she gets better angles. And it's also because she knows I'm left-handed. Left-handed people are very difficult to film because we have this kind of natural, weird way of working.
We have Tom at work and he's left-handed, and we've had this same conversation.
It's honestly, the struggle's real, mate.
Yeah, we spoke about this in depth.
Below the tattoo and right underneath it, you sort of have to be where my head is. I've seriously considered getting some of those Meta Ray-Ban glasses so that I can just knock them on and do that. So I might end up doing that. It's just that at the minute, that technology, it's just so big that I'd look like the glasses are huge.
I got the version 2s. I didn't get them. I tried them on, and they're pretty slick, to be honest. And the video quality, because before they came out, I bought. Did I buy them? No, I bought a 4K glasses. They weren't Meta, and I put a bit of polarizing film on, because I was like, I'll do this for my seminar, and it was atrocious. The video quality was awful. Yeah. So I sent them back, and I tried them on when I was in the US, and they're pretty slick. The second model, and the clarity's really good. So give it a pop a bit of polarizing film on, sort the light out, and you'll be ready to go.
Yeah, my booth's easy to do that with because I've got no overhead light in my booth. I only have a work lamp. I don't like a lot of light in my booth. I prefer to work in a pool of light.
Yeah.
Which is a real problem in the studio because all the guys want these massive panels. That's why I sit in one corner out the way so that I can keep the dingy corner as much as I can. They go, oh, that's the fucking old bloke's cave.
That's the old man corner.
It's like, I'm like, yeah, but my eyes are better than yours and they're going to last longer because I'm not fucking straining them.
Going back to social media, Paul, I've picked his friend actually. His Instagram account's incredible. Instagram rang him up a few months back saying, you're doing really well, continue doing this and that. Doesn't show his face on there, but what I like to do is reverse engineer people's reels and, you know, how they're putting together their overall social media. And, you know, you can use repost, drag their reel into CapCut and, you know, just work out the seconds with each scene, and it's just a couple of movements. So I've got this tripod with wheels and you can get some crazy angles on your camera, and I bought the same lens as him, and he turns the lights off, and it is for the gram, isn't it? Because now you've got to be a flipping movie maker to get any traction, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I've found like a really minimal, well, there's a little bit of effort at the end of the day, a little formula which I'm going to try. I did it on my own without any PA, video man, video woman the other day. So I'm gonna experiment with that. I'm gonna post it this week. But I'm looking for like a minimal effort way to build my social media and get some traction. But when I put effort in, I do well. Like, on my professional dashboard, I had like 1.5 million people are interacting with your account within the last 30 days. And it's never been like that. It was always like, I don't know, 300,000-400,000.
Yeah.
And that's simply because I discovered trial reels and I'm like, fucking hell, this is amazing. You can just post loads of crap, see if it does any good. But doing that, it pushes to all your non-followers. So, but that was when I was on holiday and I had spare time. Now I'm back living my normal life. I've got no time to do it. So social media can be good, but you've got to put the effort in. You know, people blame Instagram, but it's not. It's you. You're doing shit wrong or you're being lazy. So I know why I don't do so well on social media is because I don't put the effort in. So
yeah, I mean, I've been putting the effort in over the last few years on my website and my newsletter, so I get like, you know, comparable kind of numbers to your engagement. You know, actually viewing my website, and so because I track that all the time, because you know my take on it was I don't want to put too much effort into decorating a rented house. I'd rather decorate and have my guests come to the house that I own because that's mine, and you know I don't want to be in a position where you know Instagram decides to ban tattooing tomorrow and then everybody's going to be running around. I'll be like, still got a website, still got a newsletter, you know, and so
still got a database.
Yeah, you know, and so I like to keep it in there. But also, I think social media is good for promo, you know, and the stuff that we want to make, it's like, well, we'll make it in-house and then we'll pump it out to whatever social medias I've got. You know what I mean? There's a couple of them, like TikTok. I've never even had TikTok on my phone, but I've got a TikTok. I just don't have anything to do with it because I can't think of anything worse as a time-wasting device to have to be doom scrolling on that, you know.
Yeah.
I do know a lot of people that get a lot out of it. Like my daughter uses it for going on holiday all the time. Like she thinks it's great. Like she can find all the cool spots everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, that's fine, but like, you know, I don't go anywhere that I haven't been before, so it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? So I know where all the cool spots are. So one of my other questions is, there's a lot been said, and we've talked about this privately, but I thought it'd be interesting to kind of get your take on it here, is there's a lot being said at the moment. If you're on social media and you only consume social media, you could be forgiven for thinking that this is the absolute end of tattooing. It's all over. You know, it's crumbling. It's all going horribly wrong. Nobody's got any money. Nobody's got any clients. What's your take on that then? What do you reckon? Do you think that reflects it? Because personally, I don't think my real world experience reflects what the internet is saying.
Again, signal to noise. I don't spend much time listening to the noise. I think life's like a video game. You create your own reality. And if something's not right, whether you're not getting any clients or it's not as easy as it used to be, get off your arse and start working. I've worked with artists and some artists have said similar things. Oh, this isn't working. I'm like, yeah, have you done it like this? Yeah. Okay, let me sit down. Have you done it like this, and this? Oh no. Well, that's what I told you to do. And then they do it and then they're fully booked. And it's like, you know, we're creative people. Can't you think of ways, you know, avenues to promote yourself, to expand your business? Because let's be honest, even what have I got, 161,000 followers on Instagram, it means nothing. I'm still invisible. There's a big world out there. I'm minuscule. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot more what we could be doing. Like you said yourself, your website, YouTube, we've got a huge database because I've had the studio for 11 years. Utilize that. Are you doing emails? What can you do to shout about your business? And a lot of, especially English people, they don't like shouting about themselves. I've worked with artists again. They want their Instagram to look all nice and shiny, but they haven't got any work and they don't want to post because people are they worry about what people think. And I'm like, you need to get rid of that shit. Nobody cares. So that's a really good trait people can work on, is not giving a shit what other people think. But yeah, I think when I go to the US and work, it's a totally different vibe. Obviously, America's huge compared to our little island, and it's a totally different experience. Every client I've tattooed in the US has been fantastic. They tip well. The attitude's good. They seem to appreciate the work more. And same with artists. The attitude seems to be better. I think in England, the tattoo industry, just my little experiences of running a studio and stuff and dealing with people, it reminds me of the DJ scene where I started DJing locally and we're getting good money. And then everyone wanted to be a DJ. And then everyone was undercutting each other. And then you had no work as a DJ because such and such next door was gigging for free. And I'm like, fucking hell, I love playing music, but I need to get paid because I'm putting a lot of effort in here. And I think that's how I feel in England at the moment. Everyone's looking for cheap. Nobody will invest in themselves. That means promotion as well and seminars. So they're not improving. And they're just scratching along, trying to spend as little as possible. But with no investment, you're never going to get clients. You're never going to make the big bucks. Going back to my point, nobody knows about you. So you need to invest to get that back.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm talking to the guys in the shop about that stuff, I'm like, if you're advertising your business, every business has to advertise it because you're absolutely right. Nobody cares. Why should they care? If you don't tell them about it, they don't even know what they're not supposed to care about, right? And I tell people, if you're going to place an Instagram ad, an advert in a magazine, then that is the cost of doing business. That is just how it is. Like you buy 10 boxes of needles, that's the cost of doing business. You need them to produce the products. You can't not do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always, yourself, I've always been of the opinion, give me the best needles I can find, give me the best ink I can find, because that'll help my tattoos look better. I don't want to skimp on any of those things. And people go, it's expensive. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the cost of doing business. Like, I want to make the best tattoos I possibly can. I need the best equipment I can. I don't advertise in tattoo magazines because what I've found is that 99% of my clients don't go to tattoo conventions. They don't read tattoo magazines. They're more likely to read creative arts magazines and photography magazines. So if I'm advertising my work, it goes in where my clients are, where I think they are. I put adverts there and see how those adverts perform. And actually, because the print world is struggling, just like a lot of industries, you can actually get pretty good value print advertising now, where you get very targeted people. Because if you've got a magazine that's just about fishing, they ain't going to get no builders that pick it up. They're looking for hammers. Oh yeah. If they're builders, they're going to be builders that are interested in fishing.
Yeah.
Cheap attention is what we call it. Like how much is the cost of that attention? And it's actually comparatively, it's pretty cheap. I've been looking at because Vice magazine is back. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like Vice went away for a bit, got sold off, disappeared, but it's back in print now. And I've been looking at that and going, maybe I'll put some stuff in Vice. It's all sort of indie creators and stuff.
I'm trying to be the first. You have got to think outside the box. With creatives, why not get creative with your investment and your promotion? And also, things are forgotten next week and tomorrow. So you can't do it once and, that didn't work. You got to keep going until, like that old term, you got to throw lots of shit at the wall to make it stick.
Well, I mean, it takes 6 weeks for you to even get any feedback on a campaign. Like I'd tell people, like when we were doing traditional print ads, I'd be like, you've got to run the ad for 6 weeks because you won't, if you run it for 1 week, it won't do anything.
Yeah.
If you run it for 6 weeks, run exactly the same thing for 6 weeks and it'll go there. So I tend to go with print ads. If I'm going to run one, I'm like, do you know what? Just run it for 3 months. I'll run the same ad for 3 months and then I'll give you a call and let you know how it's going on.
Yeah.
And then, you see how it goes. Like there's an argument now for Facebook ads, because I think a lot of people, as they get bored of scrolling, they're going back to Facebook. Older people are tending to go back to Facebook. Younger people are tending to move on to TikTok. So Instagram is kind of sitting in the middle. That's why it's seeing its audience move a little. It's no big deal. Eventually what that will mean is you can get cheap at Instagram advertising, because if they've got lower numbers.
Yeah.
But to have a business that you make stuff and you don't tell people about it, how are they expected to know what you want to do? If you've got no bookings next week, you need to put that on your social media and your website and wherever you can and go, I've got some cheap late space or something. You'll fill it if you tell people about it.
That is one way. I've been reading a lot of books on selling, and it's like you said, that's the go-to thing. I have some space. I think sometimes that's the only creative, that's the limit to their kind of selling technique for their business, but you've got to think outside the box. Like, I can remember when I was struggling and I didn't go to bed until I'd thought of a new idea. One idea, I don't think you can do it now. My Facebook profile was just tattoos. It was a personal account, just tattoos. And I'd go on some tattoo studio pages and I'd look for the people that left 1 or 2 stars, and I'd just add them as a friend, and I wouldn't do anything. I got 10, 20, 30 grand's worth of clients by just adding them as a friend. You know, it wasn't anything personal on there. It was just tattoos, and they'd be like, "Oh, you tattooist, can you fix this? This shot fucked my arm up." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not a problem." So it's thinking outside, putting money on adverts to sell. I used to put money on adverts for a free giveaway. You know, you got reverse psychology, and people go, "Oh, stupid for doing that." Why? I've got loads of people entering this competition, and I'm going to DM them all after and say, "Oh, you didn't win, but I'm giving all entries, a 20% discount." So these are just really basic money models I'm sure everybody knows of, but they work.
I'm not sure how many tattooists do know about that. We worry too much about self-image and like, how will I appear online? Will I still appear like a professional? And you go, nobody gives a fuck what you appear about online. No one cares who you are. No one cares about you. Doing my old podcast for 4 years, it taught me, like, because obviously if you make a show every week, right, like there'd be weeks where my fucking beard was shaved wonky, or I got a big massive spot on my face and everything. Do you know what? Nobody ever commented, ever, because no one gives a shit what I look like. Half the reason why this podcast is audio only, because it just doesn't matter. Do you know? It makes no odds. And everybody else has got their own shit.
Exactly. That's why people have just got to do whatever they want to fucking do, because nobody cares. And you've got one very short career. Life is short. Just, do what the hell you want to make yourself happy.
Yeah, man. What's your favourite thing about tattooing then?
I've got 2 favourite things. Learning new stuff. It's literally like, a bolt-on in skills. You can put it to use the next day. I find that just so inspiring, talking to you over the years. I can remember sitting, because we used to do a lot of shows together, didn't we? We were always used to see each other at the airport. And I sat next to you once, and I was like, I'm struggling with this design, Paul. She wants something Da Vinci, and you just suggested, you've probably said 2 sentences, bang, I got it. And then that's the tattoo I won the award off. And just that one bit of inspiration.
For the record, about 1% of that tattoo is mine then.
10%, I'd say. These are the little interactions that I fucking love, the learning stuff, going for food after a show and chatting shop. And it's just where you pick up those little nuggets of information to put into your own career. So I love learning so much. I'm so happy when I learn a new skill, or an artist's showing me something. But with me, I try it literally the next second if I can. A lot of artists I've noticed, which is why they don't progress, they don't try stuff. And it's like, why not? I can remember my old friend, Jason Butler, worked at his studio in Brown Hills for a while. And I was asking him about red roses, and I'm like, I can't see any other colours, just red, dark red, red and red. He said, what you've got to do, you've got to exaggerate. So you need a deep plum, then you need a red, then you need an orange. He said, for the light tones, use skin tones. And I was like, fuck, that's skin tone. The next day I was doing exactly what he said, and he was like, what are you doing? I said, doing what you told me. He says, nobody's ever listened to me, ever. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I listen to you? You've got like, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years more experience than me. And he was gobsmacked because obviously he'd been surrounded by idiots that just didn't want to learn. He also told me about one of his old friends hit his talent ceiling. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? Talent ceiling? Yeah, he's give up tattooing because hit his talent ceiling. So kids be fucking making up shit these days. But again, it's if you want to put yourself in a box, go for it. But yeah. So yeah, learning and connecting with clients, the right, when you get good connections and they're like your best mate,
Yeah.
and they get what you're doing. I have such good days. Recently I've had loads of good clients over the years, but the last tattoo I did in the US, fucking brilliant. He came in, I showed him the little AI video, and he was like, yes, let's do it. And I had 4 amazing days with this dude, who his name was, and we created an amazing piece of art. And it tipped me well, which I didn't expect, because obviously we were English and we we hardly tip in Europe. But we just had a really good 4 days. He healed it really well. He was looking after it. He was attentive, and couldn't have asked for a better interaction. Do you know what I mean? So those are the 2 things that I really love: connecting with the right people and learning new stuff.
Do you know what I love about the connection with clients? I don't know if you get this, right? There's something about my tattoo chair, right? And it delivers me all these amazing people who have got these skills in areas that I know fuck all about. I mean, and I'll end up, believe it or not, I do actually do quite a lot of listening, Rich. I know I do a lot of talking, but I do a lot of listening. And even today, I'm a bit suspicious about not AI itself. I understand that it could be an amazing technology, but I'm a bit suspicious of the people that are currently touting it and controlling it. And I've got a feeling that it's not quite what they're talking about. And so my client said, how do you mean? I think it was the Beijing robotics convention, right? And I said, these fucking robots that they reckon are going to take over the world and be Skynet by 2027, it takes them 25 minutes to open a door. Like, I'm fine. All I've got to do is lock my front door and the robots can't get in. And he was like, Paul, that's not quite what it is, right? And because I was like, I reckon we're 100 years from a fucking robot that can do anything any good.
Yeah.
Now, he works in tech, and he's developed some fucking amazing, software that Goldman Sachs use and all these people. So he knows what he's talking about. So he starts telling me, first of all, you've got it wrong. We don't need human robots. He went, that's sci-fi. Like everybody, you've grown up watching sci-fi and you think that the ideal solution to a problem is a human. But we've already got humans and they're cheaper than robots. We don't need that. He said, if you were going to fight a war, would you build a load of humanoid robots or just fucking tanks that can drive themselves? As an example, the Roomba, which is a great, auto hoover, it doesn't have to be a person who pushes a hoover around. You can just make the hoover run itself. And that's how robotics is going. And he was like, I understand what you're saying. The people that are running the companies are probably some of the worst capitalists that we've ever seen, because they don't seem to have a guardrail of like, well, maybe morally that's not the right thing to do. They seem to have just thrown the morals away. He said, but the actual technology itself is great. It's going to do a lot. Do you know what I mean? But then I've got another client who's a lawyer who's who I've tattooed a few times, and I can just message him and go, what do you know about DBS checks? He's like, not much, but like, what's the context? I'm like, there was just a conversation recently about DBS checks and I want to do a little piece about it for my website and maybe for the podcast. He was like, okay, well, give us the context. I'll do a bit of research and I'll let you know. That's all coming from my connection with clients. These aren't, these are people that are just sitting getting tattooed, and I'm going, what do you do then? And they go, well, I do this, and you meet some, I'm sure you have. I mean, you meet some amazing people.
Yeah, very interesting people.
And
pilots to surgeons to
criminals, to coppers.
Yeah.
It's always funny when you got criminals and coppers in the room at the same time. It's always a lot of fun. Or I've had it before now. We've had 3 branches of the military all sitting in different booths. That's a fun day because once they get going, they don't hold back very much.
Yeah.
So my final question for you, mate, and thanks for hanging in there with me. What's the one thing you'd change about the world of tattooing if you could? Is there anything that really grinds your gears?
The world of tattooing. Yeah, I think I've noticed, I think this is general life, to be honest. I've noticed over the years, nearly 90% of people are full of shit. So No one can actually lie. So yeah, that's one. And a tattoo industry. I thought on the questions you put world.
Oh, well, what would you change about the world generally? Then we'll drill down to tattooing.
Yeah, I'd make governments illegal because they're a bunch of crooks, aren't they? Whether it's weird concoctions they want to inject into us, or creating digital IDs, or smashing us with new taxes every year, I think they're criminals for what they're doing. So yeah, remove the government.
What would you replace the government with? Got any ideas?
I haven't, but what's in place at the moment is just.
Do you know what I'd replace it with? An anarchist utopia. I'd just have an anarchic society where you do it because it's the right thing to do. Because everybody thinks that anarchy is about being violence and everything. But actually what anarchy is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, right? But what my understanding of it at its core is, we all have a social contract and we all agree to play by a certain set of rules that we all think are fair, and then we just get on with it. And it doesn't mean that you don't have law enforcement. It's just that it's very clear in that relationship, in an anarchic relationship, that the law enforcement work for the people. They're employed by the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the only problem with that is that it's slightly utopian, and the problem with anarchy, as far as I can see, is it's very difficult to scale. Like my village in Catsill, like we could say this is a gated community. We don't have anything to do with the national government. We govern the area ourselves. We've got our own police force, and if you live and reside here or travel through here, you are almost like how states in America work, right? Where you could make them completely autonomous. But once you start trying to get everybody in the country to agree to a certain set of rules, that's where you start, get running into problems. And I imagine that what we're experiencing is that we probably started with very good intentions with government. It was all thought about, let's do this properly, and let's look after everybody. And slowly but surely, I think it's just rotten. It's just rotted its way all the way down to the core that we're left with. I don't think I'm saying anything particularly controversial when I say that I think we've probably got the worst set of world leaders for at least 50 years.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I don't trust these people to navigate us through anything complicated. You know what I mean? Imagine if, we're on the brink of World War III. I really don't want these people to be the people making the decisions. We saw the mess they made of, like COVID and things like that. It's quite clear that they don't know what they're doing. Yeah. And I just don't think that they're the right people for the job. Yeah. Unfortunately, unlike other periods of history, there's no one good standing in the wings. Yeah. So the replacement is as bad as the guy there. We've just had that with 13 years of a Tory government, and the Labour government arguably are worse.
They're all puppets, aren't they? They're not the ones making decisions. It's the people.
Well, I don't think so. No, it would appear to be quite clear that it's investment groups, hedge funds. I don't know. We might be, steering into conspiracy theories, but I do like a good conspiracy theory. You know that. There's a conspiracy. It's the truth.
In thinking about industry changes, seeing a lot of similar to the governments, really, it's all about self-gain, paying all the friends off. I've seen, obviously, there's a lot of corporate companies taking over the smaller businesses, and sometimes I can't knock the smaller businesses because they're going for a few mil, and who wouldn't want a few mil to retire on? But I see a lot of products out there. It's a bit of a scam. There's a lot of bad products for like aftercare and stuff, and they're not being checked, and they're just being sold. And it's really bad for the skin and healing tattoos. Some of the crap, I'm seeing this crap healing in a can, in bottles, and if you actually research the ingredients, it's fucking awful, man. It's like liquid petroleum, and like that's when you shouldn't come into contact with the skin, full stop. I know the old boys used to use that back in the day, but you've got to get past that now. It's made from petrol. It shouldn't be touching a fresh wound tattoo. So there's a lot of kind of scammy products coming out. And there's a lot of good companies as well making nice products, organic products out there. But yeah, I think there needs to be some more control on what's passed. Maybe going to this, they wanted to avoid this conversation, but going into the tattoo school thing as well. Having some kind of governing body. I don't know how that would work. Just to stop the scratching everyone up and giving everyone infections. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the whole tattoo school kind of thing. I don't think that there's anything wrong with education, and like teaching people. And if as an industry, we can't teach people in-house, and I come back to, the music industry, for instance, right? There's lots of like music schools out there that teach people to do this. And I'm sure there's a way of doing it that is okay. I'm sure somebody's got a good idea. And I wouldn't want anybody to think that tattoo schools are a bad idea. It's just the current implementation of them, again, it's a bit like what I was saying about AI. I don't worry about the thing. I worry about the people that are pushing the thing.
Yeah, it's true.
And at the moment, from what I can see, I think there are lots of people out there doing really good seminars that they put a lot of time and effort into.
100%, 100%.
And I've benefited from them massively. But the tattoo schools themselves would appear to be a money-making venture that doesn't really worry about education, personally.
Yeah. But yeah, it's figuring out the ones that actually are. You can charge how much you want, but if you're teaching them the right stuff by the right people, it's absolutely fine. It's like you said, the people that are rinsing the masses just for self-gain, and you can see by the work, can't you? So that's a shame. So I think Paul Booth mentioned it a while back, creating like a tattooist guild. I think that would be a really good idea.
Yeah, because I think, the old apprentice scheme, what it worked as really was a filter, right? So the old apprentice scheme of getting into a tattoo studio for somebody to teach you was like getting on a label. Like when record labels existed and they were the taste makers, having your band talked about in the NME or the Melody Maker or Sounds or something like that was a big deal for your band. And then when you got a record deal, the record companies filtered out the 5,000 other people that wanted to do the music, and so you had this natural filtering of like the good stuff. And I think that there's like something like a tattooist guild that maybe that would work as a filter. I worry that something like that implemented badly will end up like the tattoo police.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's got to, that's something that's got to be talked about. I think if it works as a filter and to keep people honest and like, to go, look, does your aftercare actually fucking work? Is it built for tattooing or is it just face cream? Like, what you're doing? That kind of thing. I don't understand why there isn't tattoo.co.uk that you can go there for all the best practices and products to avoid and products to use and, and things like that. I think there ought to be like a top level domain that could be all for our industry. So if you wanted to know whether is it okay to use latex gloves, you could look that up and go, what are the pros and cons? And, I think that's something that a guild of professional craftsmen, like for tattooing, that could work, But, 20 years in, my experience of that is we'll still be moaning and complaining about the same stuff in 20 years' time. And in 20 years' time, nobody will have done anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of complaining and not a lot of doing, unfortunately.
I've seen a lot of that myself.
Just the complainers.
Always the one aren't doing anything as
That's
well.
a weird correlation, isn't it? The people that see fit to criticise everyone else's tattoos are always the people with like what would appear to be the least amount of talent. Could be an amazing tattoo with a terrible photograph, but it's very rarely either of those things. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anything else you want to chuck on the end of this, mate, before we go? What you got coming up? Because you do the seminar in Ibiza. You going to do another one of them?
No, I don't think so. I think we did it with... I made a bit of a mistake of doing 2 in a year. I got a bit excited with that and it did drain me a little bit. So we're probably going to have a year off at least. If we're going to revisit it, we will do in 2027. But I've got lots of other bits I want to work on. I've noticed every career I do, from the window cleaning, that was about 13, 14 years, and now tattooing, I'm up to nearly 13, 14 years. I get a bit bored with stuff, so I need to evolve. So I've bought some kit and I'm going to start painting again. But there's a medium I want to explore. Yeah, see what happens with that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I've been back in the studio. I've been making I'm working on an album.
Nice, man.
As weird as it sounds, I've got some vocalists creating some good stuff. Yeah.
Give me a shout if you need any guitar parts putting on anything.
Yeah, I will do. So, yeah, be like 10, 12 tracks. Not all the same genre. It'll be a proper mix, like starting off quite chill, laid back, and then gradually getting more upbeat. So, yeah, I'm just working on a few little projects.
I appreciate you spending a Sunday evening with me, listening to me prattling on about nonsense. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Paul. I'll speak to you soon, buddy.